This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's pod. This is the show for the week of August 1st, 2022. Happening in our Disney World this week, Phil. Top 5 lists return with a kind of like, I want to say this is bland, but this is not really. This is like probably a point of contention for a lot of people out there. Top 5 lands, areas, or pavilions in all of Walt Disney World. I snuck a peek at what ours are because we share which ones are ours, and we overlap quite a bit.
We did. I kind of moved the ones that you had to like my honorable mentions, just so we could have some different ones. But yeah, there would have been some overlap.
I'm curious to see why they're our favorite, if that matches. Mm-hmm. So that'd be a good discussion to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But first, of course, we're going to do our Ask Me Anything also. We're going to have a normal show after like 2.5 weeks of not doing it the right way. We're going back to the right way, or the old way, or the usual way, whatever we want to call it. But first, Phil, why don't you tell us what everybody's talking about in our Disney World this week?
Yeah, so the big story, or the big thing that was getting a lot of publicity and a lot of report by all the bloggers and vloggers and everything is that Magic Band Plus launched at Walt Disney World. Not at Disneyland yet. It is coming, but at Walt Disney World. And so there's a lot of footage out there, people trying them out, long lines on the first day in the parks for people to buy them. Been some challenges, I think, ordering them online, at least for some of them. Mm-hmm. But overall, it seems like interest is really high. The process is going fairly smoothly. From talking to some cast members, it sounds like they're considering the rollout a success. Interest still stays high, but they have enough inventory, that there's at least some, maybe not everybody's choice is there, but they have enough for everybody. So that is good to see. But we're getting some reports of some challenges with batteries lasting and stuff like that. But I will point out that, it is coming out now that the warning we gave you all last week that we got from our good cast member friend is that they are not going to become fully charged, and there has to be a system update done. So just be prepared. It doesn't take, it only takes 15, 20 minutes or whatever, but don't think that you're going to be able to take it right out of the box and play with it, to its full capabilities right away.
I think we mentioned this last week, but it bears repeating. Like, this would be perfect for your pre-vacation purchase, right? So you can go on the website right now. There's, I think the last time I checked, it was like 33 different ones to pick from, which is great because pre-arrival for my trip a couple weeks ago, there were literally like 5 to like 10, depending on how many weeks prior, and none of them were good ones. So I was checking them there. My daughter's checking them out. She's like, I want this one. I want this one. And I'm like, we are not leaving for quite some time, so you have some time to choose. But no, it's great for pre-arrival to get it all ready once you get down there. Or if you're buying them when you arrive, if your first day is not a park day, that should be number one on your list to go to Disney Springs, look in your resorts, and get them all set up for your first park day. So something to think about when you get down there. Something to add to the many, many things that are probably already on your list.
To the to-do list, right? And I would point out, obviously a lot of footage out there, people using it and stuff. From the Diz Unplugged team, Craig Williams, I thought had a nice, concise video where he basically walked through his day. Like, he got to the park, he bought it, he recharged it a little bit, he did the update. Like, he kind of shows you all the steps, and then he did all the activities. He played, the Bounty Hunter game in Galaxy's Edge for a bit, showed you that, showed you the statues, showed you with one of the nighttime shows. And, overall, it sounded like he had a lot of fun, especially with the Bounty Hunter game when it worked well. There were some, had a couple hiccups and stuff like that. So in the end, his take was that it's more of like a gimmick than like a, something that's going to change trips to Walt Disney World forever. Yeah. Which I think is kind of the attitude most people are going in with. They're like, this looks like a fun little extra thing to do. It's only like $10 more than a regular Magic Band, so we'll give it a try. And people seem to be having fun with it. Obviously, there's a lot of curmudgeons at some sites and some blogging sites that are complaining about the battery thing, and this is such a waste and blah, blah, blah. But I think if you go in with kind of the right mindset, it can be a lot of fun and just something new, right? I mean, we're always looking for new things at Walt Disney World, and this is something else to do.
Well, I mean, my to the point of the curmudgeons, right? So like we're always complaining Walt Disney World doesn't do anything. It's always so expensive, so much money. Here you've got something that's not that much more expensive, or just as expensive as some of the fancier Magic Bands.
Yeah, exactly.
I bought a 50th.
Yeah, I've spent more on some of my wife's Dooney and Burke regular Magic Bands than these things cost.
This is my Magic Band from this trip. This is like, I think everybody's seen this one. This came out like last year. This is terrible focus here, but there you go. That was $40, right? And so that's more expensive than a Magic Band Plus. So, you know, it's pretty light and something that you can recharge. It's not like it's like, I would have to expect like this only has like, you can only use it during that one trip because when the battery dies, you can never use it again. But this has better lifetime than the actual Magic Bands, the previous ones, because you can recharge it. So I think it's worth a purchase just to kind of mess around with, I think.
Yeah. So it'll be exciting to see where they go with it. I mean, I think the big thing and what people want to see over time is, do they keep adding to the things in the park and maybe add some more, more things like kind of with the wands that you can do in the Harry Potter Wizarding World and stuff like that, where you actually see things that move in the park. There were a couple elements in the Bounty Hunter game that you saw that when that scanned in to get your credits and stuff. That looked pretty neat. But hopefully this isn't like it, that there's something they're going to keep adding to, and every year or something, there's something new to do with them.
Are the golden statues going once the 50th's over, or is that like a permanent thing?
They haven't really said exactly. All they've said is that the actual celebration will end after 18 months, which would be the end of March 2023. They haven't necessarily said, well, what does that mean? I mean, I'm assuming that at a minimum, like the banners and things like that are coming down.
That's about it,
but
right?
Like the statues, I think they could stay up, or they could change a plaque on them or something like that. Hopefully they at least stick around, because that's like 50% of the thing to do.
That's what I was going to mention. Like, they probably have more stuff, but you can't take away those statues, because that's basically everything that you could do in a lot of the parks, other than it lighting up during the fireworks, that type of thing. So anyway, I think they're worth at least one purchase for your trip. The kids get to see it all sparkle if you only have one for your park.
Yeah, we're still trying to decide what we're going to do. I think because our trip in December is at least partly for my son's birthday, is we'll at least let him get one, and that might be kind of the family one or something like that. But we'll see. Yep. And speaking of fireworks shows, there was an interesting tweet that went out, a little video from Jordan Fisher posted asking, is Happily Ever After going to come back at some point? Shouldn't it come back? And for those of you who don't know that is, Jordan Fisher is one of the singers in the main song, the Happily Ever After song. So lots of speculation about, is this just something fun he posted? Does he know something? And he's kind of laying the groundwork that this is going to happen, because you'd think, if Disney didn't want this out there, he would have taken it down by now, and it's still up. So
he's not an antagonistic guy, right? So he's not going to be go on his public Twitter account and start like needling Disney to get his show back, right? Like that's not the type of person he is. He has a great relationship with the company. So a lot of people were speculating, well, the fact that it's still up, the fact that he actually did it publicly, and it's gotten all this it's like it's purposefully like just putting it out there, because I think Disney already knows that the show is not as popular as Happily Ever After, and it's going to come back with a vengeance, I think, which should be interesting. Now the question is, does it come back? I'm just saying it's definitely coming back, right? I mean, there's no way that it wouldn't. Does it come back after the 50th or the last month of the 50th? To get everybody to go back down there and have a 50th celebration version of Happily Ever After? Do you think Disney does that?
I don't know. I think they probably would wait until April 1st or whatever.
Okay.
Kind of this way they can just say, look, we had Enchantment. It was for the 50th. The 50th is over, and now we're back to Happily Ever
Okay, so this is our good friend. This is a question for our good friend Matt. Before or after April 1st for Happily Ever After, and you're going after. I'm saying there's probably a good chance it comes before, just to get everybody to come down for whatever reason, because it's.
Yeah, I don't even know if they could do it where they do both in one night. That would be kind of fun.
No. We're not doing double firework nights. Go back to my last show to talk about why. But
and maybe I just mentioned that I guess this could count as our DBC recommends for the week too. But one channel we like, DSNY, Jack put up his video of his predictions for D23. So I guess obviously he's copying the idea of we had several shows ago.
Yes.
Obviously. But this was one of the things he had on there is like, will they announce Happily Ever After coming back? And for each kind of prediction, he said, is this highly likely to happen, somewhat likely not? And I think he gave this one 4 out of 5 stars or whatever. Like, so he's fairly confident it will get announced. For what that means, he has some connections, but he's certainly not a super insider or anything.
Right.
And the last little bit of news, I just added this in there, so Jason might not even have seen this.
I saw this on Twitter like 2 hours ago.
But I thought this was pretty neat. Just got, I guess it was up on Facebook that today the first group of cultural representatives has returned to Walt Disney World. And this means that all the Disney programs at Walt Disney World are officially back. So this means more cast members coming, especially will be great for the World Showcase area where you get all the people from those countries actually working there. We've had so many great interactions with a number of them over the years. So I was really, it's definitely something I was been waiting for, and nice to see that it will be back, hopefully in full swing by the time our trip comes.
100%.
And that is the main stories of what everyone is talking about this week. A reminder of our social media accounts: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at the DBC Pod, the Discord server. Of course, quick update on the Disney Comeback Index. It is up over 88%, up to 88.1%, largely from Victoria and Albert's now being back open. Also, the Merida meet and greet came back at Magic Kingdom. So that was nice to see. I know we had a little discussion before about kind of like, is it harder to cast for the face characters and stuff like that? So it's always good. Peter Pan came back. He's at his old location and stuff too. So we're seeing some more face characters. So that's good.
He was wandering the park, if you recall, when I was at the Magic Kingdom, which surprised me.
Yeah, I think they just announced he's now at like a permanent location type thing versus wandering. So, but yeah, more meet and greets are always good. And Matt kind of hinted at that once Fantasmic comes back, he thinks that should push us over 90%. So that would be good to see.
What do you mean should? He could just press a button, see if it actually does it, and change it back.
Like Fantasmic now counts for 40%.
Yeah.
Just wanted to welcome a couple new Discord members, Nikki C and Oswald the Pop Guy. Welcome to you both.
Welcome.
And also just wanted to say a thank you out there to all of our listeners. I was tracking some of the stats on for our podcast downloads. Notice we had our best week ever, our best month ever, and we're now past, I think, 21,000 downloads. Ooh. So thanks to everyone.
Thanks to all the new listeners. Make sure if you're a podcast listener and you're on iTunes, give us a 5-star review. Apparently, Apple iTunes likes it when you do that. We do too. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like and a subscribe and leave a comment, even if it's just hi or something silly. YouTube likes people commenting because it means engagement, and that helps us reach newer people and hopefully bring new people into Discord and join the conversation. Okay, so topic number 1, Phil, you put this on here. I really like it.
Just put the title. I didn't add any details. It was just something I'm thinking about.
I think it's a good talking point. So why don't you go ahead and start and set it up?
Sure. So the title I gave it was "Convince Me to Add Park Hoppers to My Upcoming Trip," and this got put in my mind when I saw Jason, obviously listening to your trip report and how you leveraged park hopping. But then I also saw, our good friend Zach had posted like what day he had where he's at Epcot and then hopped to Hollywood Studios and was able to get in a number of rides using Genie Plus and individual lightning lanes. And obviously Matt's had success with that too. So I was starting to think about for my trip, maybe it's just the planner in me, but I'm like starting to think like, I could strategize how to do certain ones a day and then start stacking at the other park and buy multiple individual lightning lanes. And then, we only have 3 park days. So currently we're not even planning on going to Hollywood Studios. So if we had hoppers, we could get there. And then I looked into the cost for a 3-day ticket. It would be $75 per person to upgrade to hoppers. So for my family of 5, that would be $375 compared to like $885 for the holiday party, or even, would be more to add another park day. So it was kind of like, all right, can I do this? But I don't know. I need, the downside was that it would definitely make it, I think, a more stressful trip.
Yes.
And less relaxation time. So I guess I'm trying to balance that. Do I want to stick with my current plan of having some more relaxation time, or do I want to just go crazy and try to get in like a million rides?
So here's the thing, right? Let's ignore the cost because that's an obvious, do I want to spend the money or not, right?
Right.
I can't convince you to spend the money. It's your money. You have your own budget. I'm not going to wade into that type of thing. Is it worth it? It might be. But again, I'm not going to judge your wallet there. So with that being said, you hit a nail on the head with stress level, right? So you have to, another part of this that, this is lessons learned for me. I have to go into, the next time I get them in December, which I'll have them, I have to go into the day with the mentality of do not let this stress me out, right? Yeah. Not maximizing my day is okay. Like, I have to repeat that over and over again. Not getting 30 lightning lanes is okay. Not only getting 5 is okay. I'm not losing money, right? So if you have a good point is, if you ever done the dining plan and if you felt like you wasted your money by not getting the most expensive thing on the menu, then Genie Plus might not be, or we have to take a different mentality out of it, right? Like you can't go into thinking it that way. Now, why should you, right? So you're going down for a smaller vacation, right? You're not going for a full week. You don't have a leisurely trip. You're going down, you're having a good time, and you're coming back, right? So it's a quick turnaround. You have 3 park days. Lightning Lane GD Plus, you're going to be able to purchase it the day of. And I think that might be the way to go. Instead of buying it with a package, I'd buy wait, you already added it to your package.
I already added it on before to
the
package before they changed that, just to be on the safe side and kind of like, I know I'm probably without hopping not, will I get my money's worth at Animal Kingdom or whatever? I don't know, but it'll at least cut down on some shorter waits. So I already have Genie Plus.
Okay, so your Animal Kingdom day, you can get out of that park faster and have done everything. So you have to think to yourself, do I want to spend more time in the park and just enjoying the park? Because if you are
exactly.
So like if you're a person like, okay, I can bang out all the rides by like 11:30 if all my individual lanes happen properly. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with being in the park for 3.5, 4 hours and that's it? Or do you want to spend more time in the park leisurely walking around? So Genie Plus allows you to get out faster to experience something else, right? Mm-hmm. Is that something else going to be resort time? Then don't get hoppers. If you want to stay in the park a little bit longer, don't get hoppers. But if you're like ready to go, like you go grab some lunch, wherever that may be. You're staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge, if I remember correctly. So do you want to go back to Sanaa like we did, or something else? Go back to the rooms, relax, and then hit up wherever else. Then that's the way to go. Then hoppers is definitely you're gonna have a ton of fun. Like going to Hollywood Studios or Magic Kingdom would be perfect. Now on your Epcot day, do you want to spend the whole day at Epcot because that is your favorite park? Is that your plan?
I mean, yeah, that's been the plan. Was we have these 3 days and thinking Saturday's Magic Kingdom, we'd largely spend the whole day there. Probably a break for dinner or something like that. Epcot, we'd spend the whole day there, and then right now I'm thinking for Animal Kingdom, we would get a lot done. Still have time to see the shows and stuff like that, but probably also have time to go back to the room and have some pool time and stuff like that. So, and then we would just go back to Animal Kingdom in the evening and stay as late as we can, and that would be that. So like, that's kind of what the plan is now. Was this to be a somewhat more relaxing trip and enjoy the room, that we're at Animal Kingdom Lodge and stuff like that. Whereas I think if we were booked at Pop or even Caribbean Beach, I probably would say let's definitely add on the hoppers because we'll just go all around.
Yep.
Part of me is like, well, we paid for I mean, we're renting DVC points, but we paid for it. So we want to enjoy that.
Yeah, no, the thing is, if you truly want to spend your full day at Epcot, like this is a thing I need to do because this is your favorite park and everything else, then it's not worth getting hoppers because you want to stay there. You got to have food and wine. No, you're not going to have food and wine going on at the time.
We'll have the Festival of the Holidays. So
right.
There'll be booths for that. There'll be, performers in Epcot and stuff like that. I definitely think which we haven't really been there for.
Yep.
So I think there'll be a lot of stuff for us to see at Epcot.
Yeah. So I think it's not worth it. Like the only thing that's worth hopping to from Epcot is heading over to Hollywood Studios for a couple hours through the Skyliner. That's how you're going to maximize it if you want to get back to Epcot. Right, yeah. For the end of the day. So hoppers is definitely not worth it on an Epcot day. And Genie Plus is going to be kind of silly on that day anyway, because half the day you might go back to the resort, you might do something else, whatever it might be. The latter part of the day is basically walking around, just enjoying everything. Right? It's eating and having drinks and watching the entertainment and just kind of it's going to be dark earlier, so it's going to be cooler, so it's going to be nice to stroll around and have fun. I don't think hoppers are worth it. Then I wish. Through a package, you could elect what day you want to upgrade your ticket to a hopper. In any case, Epcot is going to be a day where I don't think hoppers is going to do anything for you because you want to spend all day at Epcot. So there's a waste of, $40 a person at that point. It's gone. Your Magic Kingdom day, if you want to spend the whole day in Magic Kingdom with a midday break or whatever it might be, where are you going to go? Right? Magic Kingdom's a great park to hop to. So are you going to do Hollywood Studios 2 days in a row, or are you going to go from Animal Kingdom and do Magic Kingdom at night, and then Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom at night, and then Epcot all day? I mean, that's something that's feasible, but is that worth that extra cash?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think we could make it work, and in some ways the prospect is exciting to me to try to figure all that out. But, you know, the dining plan example you gave is exactly how my mind works.
Yep, I know.
And so I know adding hoppers, I would want to maximize it. I want to be like on our Magic Kingdom day, we're hopping down to Epcot for a few hours just because we can, you know, like,
well, yeah,
Epcot
that's
day,
what it
we're
is.
Hopping to Hollywood Studios just because we can. And I'd try to line up multiple, you know, ILLs and Genie Pluses, and we'd do them across parks. And then, I don't know, I'd stress out just wondering, like, what if Rise is down and then we got to wait there for a while, or, you know, so I think
that's not even that doesn't even cross your mind because you're too busy thinking about other things. You're thinking about 5 steps ahead, right? Because you know, what are the trends? What's available? What should we do? And you're going to spend so much time planning your vacation while you're on vacation that I don't think it's entirely worth it whatsoever. Honestly, I mean, it's just, I mean, if this were a longer vacation and you didn't mind spending all the extra money on and you could do it a couple days here and there and have a really busy day and then have a really chill day, have a really busy day and vice versa. If you get hoppers and then with having Genie Plus, you're going to be nonstop for 3 days. Your brain is, at the very least, and your family's going to be, what are you doing, Dad? Like, you're.
And I think if that was our mentality, was we're going down for 3 days and we're going to go like opening to close a park and do everything we can, then I think it would be easier to talk me into it. But I think knowing that part of this is, we really want to enjoy those parks and stuff, but we want to enjoy the resort. We want to enjoy just the holiday, you know, theming that's up around places and kind of not kill ourselves. So
well, I mean, like, the fact that you have DVC points, right? Like, enjoy the resort. If you do this, you will never be at the resort, because every single moment that you're sitting down at the resort, you're going to be looking at your MDE thinking, what lightning lanes could I have gotten now? But here I am sitting here with a nice beverage looking at animals, but I could be on Pan, and then I could have done this.
That's a very good point too. Like that, you know, $75 for me, at least, I could buy a number of beverages with.
That's it. So. But again, like, your brain would not rest. I know exactly how you think, because you think exactly like I do, and you would not be able to enjoy downtime unless you force yourself. It's almost
sounding like, you know how, like, sometimes when
I'm trying to convince you to get hoppers, aren't I? Wasn't that the whole premise
of this?
That was
the question, but I think you're convincing me not to, which is probably the right thing. It almost reminds me of like athletes, especially football players, where it's like when they're injured, they're like, no, I can go back in. And they're like, no, like, the coach needs to protect the player from themselves. It's like, I need you to protect me from myself.
I mean, like hoppers is a good idea if you just want to go nuts. But the fact that you're taking in the holidays, you're taking in a nicer resort, like, you're at a nicer resort instead of staying off property or at like a Pop or Caribbean Beach, like, absorb that, enjoy that deluxe, you know, vacation. Don't go crazy, and because again, you're at Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom Lodge is the worst place to hop to and from, right? It's because you're out of the way. You're a bus ride from everything, even Animal Kingdom. Right. And if you were staying at like Caribbean Beach, where it wasn't as expensive, and you had the Skyliner right there, then I would say, you know what, hopping might be worth paying that money just to do it that one day and kind of do Epcot to Hollywood Studios and back, or whatever it might be. But yeah, I don't think, you know, I can convince you to add park hoppers. I mean, I could, because the only thing I would say, and I could probably get you thinking about it, is honestly, like, you can do so much more, and it's so interesting that at the prospect of seeing how perfect of a day could you formulate by strategizing it. That's the fun mini game of the whole thing, right? Is figuring that out.
Yeah.
But it introduces so much stress that you don't enjoy the fruits of your labor until, like, when you go home, you're like, wow, I accomplished a lot. I love writing my trip report. I got to do this, and this. But meanwhile, you don't remember half the day because it was stuck in your phone and you're not spending Christmas time with your family or whatever, right?
Kids are still asleep.
Where
2
is
days
Dad?
later.
Yeah, exactly. I would suggest, you know, if we ever got to go down, like, you know, me and you to go down for like a weekend, or your wife goes down and she wants to do like the parks, or maybe with just one of your kids, right? You know, go down. That's when I think you do hoppers and Genie Plus and go crazy. But on a short vacation where you want to enjoy your time on property, then I definitely don't go hoppers because the temptation will be too great. Until you actually do Genie Plus for the first time for real without hoppers having access to it, so you can get a sense of how you treat it, what it does, then maybe you can reassess for the next trip, whenever that might be, to get hoppers with something like that. Okay, so top 5 lists. We're going to move on here. Do you want to go first, Phil, or do you want to go second?
Well, do you want to go first, since I put my honorable mentions as overlaps with yours?
Okay, sure.
Then I can mention which ones I overlapped with.
Okay, so top 5 areas, lands, pavilions, etc. at Walt Disney World. Our top 5. I'm going to go straight down the list. These are no particular order, and you could probably guess half of these since we've discussed them in one way or the other.
For both of us.
Yeah. So my number 1 is, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, is Adventureland is one of my favorite areas in the parks. I like all the attractions and shows, Tiki Room, Jungle Cruise, Pirates being my number 1 ride. I mean, so of course that land is my favorite. Love the music. Favorite restaurant at Magic Kingdom is in that area as well. It doesn't get too congested in here like Fantasyland does, where it's just basically pavement and facades all over the place. This land looks a little bit more, lived in maybe. It feels more themed properly, kind of like a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge versus...
It kind of feels like a real place.
Yes, exactly. So I love being in it and walking through it. I love the different areas where you can come in and out of the land. So there's you can kind of duck away by where the Sunglass Hut is and kind of cut through. Mm-hmm. So while there is a lot of traffic, it has a lot of good traffic flow. And it doesn't ever feel like you're trying to you're lagging behind somebody because they're walking too slow. There's plenty of ways to go elsewhere. My second favorite area of the park, this kind of surprised me. I don't know how my favorite areas of the park surprised me, but I was thinking about this. It was Sunset Boulevard. And mainly because while Disney Hollywood Studios is slowly becoming my my least favorite park, and Animal Kingdom kind of might be overtaking it a little bit. And it's not because of the rides; it's because of the overall structure of the place. I hate navigating the park, but this part of the park is great. It's wide open, not a lot of traffic. It's got some of the best margaritas on property right there. I always get one. While I grab a drink, my wife and daughters can go shopping nearby, and it's you can't lose anybody. It's not like Main Street where it's just it's the main artery to get anywhere. Obviously, it's the main artery for Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, but the streets are wide. There's plenty of food options and shops and stuff like that. I love that whole area, and it's. You're not dealing with the rest of the nonsense of the park trying to figure out, is this the way to Toy Story Land or Star Wars Galaxy's Edge? I still get mixed up. Which direction do I want to take to get there, right? So it's clear, concise. It's the only place in the park that has a consistent theme and structure to it, right? That is meant for it, and that's why it's my favorite. Third one on my list is the Town Square Main Street area. Not Main Street itself, even though Main Street is one of my favorites, but I love the, when the curtain opens, you go underneath the train station to come up. We talked about this, a couple weeks ago. I love that. It always gets me in my feels on a crisp, burning hot Florida morning. You've arrived at Walt Disney World once you walk into that space. Here's one the other one is Africa at Animal Kingdom. I try to get a place at each one of the parks. I love it here. It's the most dynamic part of Animal Kingdom, in my opinion. You've got live performers. You've got the Tusker House and the outside bar right there. You got the Harambe Market which has some good quality food. You've got some good shopping, and obviously the drummers and the dancers, or I forget the actual name of the group that does it, but the entertainment's top notch. I love just the kinetic energy. It does get crowded, but it doesn't get too crowded, and you can sit and you can find shade somewhere in that area. I think it's the most, outside of Pandora, it's the most lived in area of that park. I think even Pandora is more immersive, obviously, but Pandora is also just kind of winding pathways. There's no real place to kind of relax. In Harambe, in Africa, it looks like they did an excellent job building it and making it functional space rather than just random walkways. So that's why I really love it. And then the next one, my last one, my fifth favorite area is another Magic Kingdom one. I really like the pathway from Be Our Guest to the circus. I don't know why it is. It's less traveled, right? Because really the only reason why you need to be back there is to go to Voyage of the Little Mermaid, not Voyage of the Little Mermaid, Journey of the Little Mermaid, and it kind of feels like the back of the park. It's nicely themed. You got both sides of Mine Train and Mermaid, and I don't know what it is. Like honestly, I don't know. I mean, it's just a stretch of land, but it's like it's a newer part of the park. And it just feels like you're away from the awfulness of the main thoroughfare of Fantasyland, where it's the back of the castle, it's Small World, Tapu. That's my least favorite part of Magic Kingdom is that back area of the castle. This is a little bit more quiet, and that's why
maybe you just really like this because you feel like you got out of that busy area.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that might be it. Like I feel like once I'm back there, or like I'm coming out of Dumbo, or we're gonna go this way rather than going towards like Teacups, I feel like I can relax a little bit because you're not pushing in. You kind of end on the way to see Gaston's Tavern too, which is wasn't open when I was there, but it's pretty nice. Okay, so those are my top 5: Adventureland, Sunset Boulevard, Town Square, Main Street, Africa, and the path between Be Our Guest and the circus. So Phil, what are your top 5?
So my top 5 is starting in Epcot with the Mexico Pavilion. That is probably my favorite pavilion. I think it has some great food options, great drink options, especially. It's got just the concept of going inside the pyramid and being in there, I think is really neat and great. It's cool. It's air conditioned on a hot day. It's got an attraction, which, while maybe not an e-ticket, is still a fun thing to do and usually very short waits. And so just everything about it. And outside, they usually have the mariachi band playing and stuff like that. So I think it's just a very complete pavilion and kind of checks off all the boxes. Plus has, in my opinion, the best margaritas.
I couldn't get one last time for whatever. I kept walking past, like next time past, I'm going to get one, and then I never got back to it.
My next option is over in Animal Kingdom. It is Pandora, the World of Avatar. I think it's obviously just the way it's constructed, what Joe Rohde and his team did is absolutely incredible. But I think every time you walk into it, it gives you that like wow moment. And they've constructed the path so you have to cross the bridge and you clearly hear the sounds change, like you really have been like transported to a new place. And when you see those floating mountains with the waterfall coming off it and how they made the paths all windy and like you can, even though it's not a huge area, you kind of can get lost a little bit. And then I think it has two, it says one top tier ride, and then the river journey I think is a nice compliment as well. It also has, I think, the best quick service.
I was just going to say, you better have reference to Tule Canteen. It is definitely a treat.
My next one is heading back to Epcot is the Land Pavilion. I know it's a little bit dated, but I just love the whole, like the entrance way up. You have to kind of walk up that incline. It's got a great, very iconic or nostalgic sign out front. And then you come in again, you get that blast of air conditioning is always nice when you enter there. But it's another, complete pavilion. You've got multiple attractions in there, including one of the better ones in the park in Soarin'. Living with the Land is one of our personal favorites, but I know it's not on everyone's top list. Has a really good food court option there, and it has a character meal like Garden Grill with something, very iconic and unique with the spinning restaurant and stuff like that. So I think there's just a lot to do there. And I know it's not necessarily what it used to be, but the decorations at the time when it started were really amazing. You had the balloons going up and down and stuff like that. So I think part of it's definitely nostalgia. It brings back a lot of feelings, but I think it's a very complete pavilion as well. Going over to Hollywood Studios, similar my feelings about Pandora, but I put Galaxy's Edge there. I think it's just they just did an amazing job building it, making it very immersive, but it also has that wow moment. Every time you come around that corner and you see the life-size Millennium Falcon is just kind of that wow moment. Good food and drink options. Could use more, but it has characters walking around and kind of like the little shows and stuff like that. A lot of different activities with building the droid and stuff like that. And then obviously 2 great attractions as well. So
let me stop you there, because your first 4 are basically areas where they have attractions. It's well themed, or it's themed in a certain one direction, and it's got multiple things to it. It's like a complete like miniature park all in one. Like you could go into this area and not leave for several hours and be happy being there. Cool.
I guess it's that, and where I think they just did a really well designed concept and immersion level is high in each of them as well. And then my last one probably doesn't quite fit that, but it's the entrance way to Epcot or into World Celebration. Probably it's just because it's my favorite park and stuff like that. But coming in and just that moment when now with the fountain up front and the show that they do, the Beacon of Magic on Spaceship Earth, and then obviously that's a classic attraction. Obviously, it has new music now, but it's still good. It's really music that I think fits it, but has a history of such classic music and just feeling there. So it's definitely not as complete as some other areas, but I think it just so well encapsulated everything that people like about Epcot, and it kind of just it will forever put a smile on my face.
I thought you would have been more. There would have been more areas like this on your top 5. Like you went function over form with a lot of these, with maybe the exception of the land because it has one of your favorite rides in it. Which is there's no wrong answer. I just thought there'd be like more spots that had like a nostalgia hook to them because it made.
Well, obviously, I guess Pandora and Galaxy's Edge are kind of newer ones. But Mexico and Land definitely have the nostalgia for me. And it has 2 rides that are they each have a ride that are probably not e-ticket rides or anything like that, but are very sentimental to my family and are probably the rides we ride each of those rides multiple times each trip and stuff like that. So those 2, I think, definitely have some more nostalgia feeling to me.
All right. So some overlap here. We both mentioned Africa. Do you like Africa for a different reason than I did?
No, I'd say that one's pretty much the same.
Okay. So you've got, I kind of laughed. I put down Sunset Boulevard on there, but then you have like literally the intersection of Hollywood Boulevard and Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
Is there a particular reason or did
I think I just love that area where you can see so many different things. You can even see some of like the Brown Derby and that area there. And you can still see down Sunset Boulevard and see Tower of Terror and see the lights at night and stuff like that. It's also, this is probably more nostalgia than anything at this point, but that's also where I most often saw the Citizens of Hollywood perform.
Okay.
So I think I still have that in my mind when I'm thinking about it. But similar to how you felt, you said that Sunset Boulevard was kind of like a very complete and kind of felt like a time period, and you were in it. That intersection with Hollywood Boulevard, I almost include with that as well.
That makes sense. Also, you have Main Street. I think that's for obvious reasons. I think Main Street's on everybody's top 5 list, or probably for maybe subtly different reasons, but mostly for the same reasons. I had all my runners up. Mexico also, not as detailed as your response, but like, for the same reasons. It's got the mariachi band. It's got the margaritas. It's got the inside's really awesome. It's a complete area. My last one is France because I love the food. It's got Remy's now. Remy's is an excellent ride, and it feels like it's they did a good job. So like when you go to Italy, it's like Italy's just right there in front of you, right? Everything's there. Same thing with like Germany for a little bit, and then all the other pavilions. There's not many pavilions where you can kind of go winding in and out, and like it feels like you're in Paris, right? Like you have the winding streets and everything else like that. I think that's really cool the way that you have it set up. And I think they were forced to do that with Remy's because that's the only place where they could put it. But it adds like you could go in and not see the rest of the park and feel kind of, I don't know, lost in it. But like your imagination can go away and be like, oh, I'm not at Epcot or in the busiest area of the world right now for tourism. So that's why I kind of dig France. I love the
no, France is a great choice. It also has a number of iconic like photo spots. Like I feel like everybody gets a picture of their kids or whoever in front of that fountain, that long fountain and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of nostalgic and just kind of iconic moments in France as well.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we're going to get to the next question. I'm going to ask Phil anything, and he has to answer any question I give him. But this one's fairly easy, I think. This is after the weekend that we're recording this, but on Friday there was a Mega Millions where the winner got $1.3 billion or $750 million cash. The fact that I'm not recording this right now from Disney World means I did not win. However, the question is, wife and I and the kids were joking if we won $750 million cash the next day, we're going to go and spend a full year at Walt Disney World. We'll hire private tutors and everything else, but we're going to live at Walt Disney World. How, Phil, would you spend a full year at Walt Disney World where money is no obstacle?
Oh wow. There's lots of ways to live that. I mean, I think I would.
What comes to mind immediately? Like where you
The
staying?
first thing that came to mind is like where I would stay,
Yep.
and I think I would want to. I mean, not that I'm gonna like.
You don't have to stay in one place either, right?
No,
You
I
can do whatever
definitely
you want.
not. That was my thinking. I think I would want to spend time at every single resort. I would want to do that over the course of the year. Like probably not the same amount of time at each resort,
Right.
but I wouldn't want to do like the whole year at the Polynesian or something like that. I'd probably do
That would be
like
boring.
yeah. So I think I would rotate around where I was staying quite often.
Any particular
do-
order? You would just kind of do it however it worked out. I mean, don't you remember there was a story about a couple that lived at Walt Disney World for like a full year or something else like that?
Yeah.
They sold their house or something. It was whatever it was. But like
I know
how
so many people have figured out like how many DVC points you need to do that and stuff like
too
that.
many.
I don't know if I can't. I'd have to think about a real detailed order. I think I would hop around and I would probably kind of change between levels. Like I wouldn't do all the values and then all the moderates
Right.
and all the deluxes. I would probably like skip around a little bit and try to enjoy different things about different levels of resorts and stuff like that. I would probably have to come up with different challenges, like
yes.
ride every ride in a day or something like that. And I think I'd do a lot of focusing on dining. There'd be all sorts of, not that I would want, even if we could afford it, it'd be a lot of calories to have like table service meals all the time.
You have $750 million to spend, and you can hire that personal trainer to take off those calories.
Well, I need to hire the scientist to just like take it off automatically. But yeah, I think there'd be a lot of focusing on dining, and then, like I said, coming up with challenges to keep things interesting.
So, with you and your family, how often are you going to the parks of the whole year? Are you just kind of hopping in once a day? Is it like you're definitely taking weekends off? How you think
I'm
about
sure
that?
for a while I would want to take weekends off, and I'd probably avoid any of the like really crowded days and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess that gets back to the question, almost like if you move down to not staying at Walt Disney World, but just move down to the Orlando area, how often do you think you go to the parks? And I think I would take advantage of that, though, being like, let's go to Epcot for like an hour, or whatever.
I mean, you don't have a job anymore, right? You're now wealthy. You don't have to. Even when you're down there, you still have to think about work and grocery shopping and just your day to day, right? So that's why you don't go to the parks. But you are now a stress-free person, and you have the ultimate year-long vacation. So how long at a single place do you think you would stay? Like, would you stay at the Polynesian for no more than a month? But you definitely can see yourself staying for a whole month.
I think, yeah, that was the first number that came into my mind, picking one or two resorts that I would want to do like a month at to really explore. I don't think I could do more than a month at any location. Might be interesting, though, to do that and then like towards the end of the year, go back there for like a weekend or something like that, just to be like, I wonder how I feel differently now that I had spent a month there. Yeah, something like that.
I think one of the cool aspects of staying down there long term at like a resort is like getting to know all the cast members that are working. Like you're now that guy that's just living here now. Maybe
Some bartenders would know me well.
Yes. Well, I mean, like maybe you get a bungalow for a whole month. I mean, it's pennies at this point, right? With the amount of money that you have, and you're now just the guy that lives in bungalow number 5 or whatever it is, and you just get Ohana every day and just
I would hire a lot of film crews and editing folks and really build up our YouTube channel.
Yeah. Why? As somebody that hasn't won 750, I appreciate your effort to continue the podcast, even though you're down a full year at Walt Disney World. Okay, so that's good. I mean, this could be a whole show, like planning out a year at Disney World, and I'm not too sure I want to go down there because obviously it can never happen. So I don't want to get my my fantasies going too much like that. Okay, so that was pretty good. So last week's DBC Discord engagement, Phil, why don't you summarize what happened, what people were talking about?
Yeah.
And,
so the suggestion for the DBC engagement came from TikTok, from poster Esprit5, who suggested if you could design a ride, what would you make? Theme, type of experience, etc. So basically kind of armchair Imagineering a ride at Walt Disney World.
So let me go first because mine was pretty simple. I would make an Encanto ride because the house is amazingly fun. It's just built to be an actual ride, right? They literally ride the house during Mirabelle's, being pushed up by the bricks and everything else. So I would take the ride vehicle from Mystic Manor, and I would build the house around that. You're going from room to room. Maybe you can use some of the tricks from Rise of the Resistance where you do the drop at the end. Spoilers, I guess. And kind of use that motion to feel like you're going up and you're going down. Maybe you can elongate it and make each room like each person's room, as they get their gifts and stuff like that. And I think that would be really neat. And you could probably have a really awesome queue leading into that house too, I bet. So I think, to me, it would definitely be Encanto. It'd definitely be a Mystic Manor kind of thing where you're going multiple levels and with a trackless vehicle. I think that would be totally awesome. What would you design, Phil?
So my ride would be something related to the Society of Explorers and Adventurers. And I would want something that had multiple parts to it and featured cast members that were playing roles. So in some ways similar to Rise of the Resistance, again, I guess spoilers, where there's an entranceway using animatronics, but also having cast members that play roles as members of the, almost like going into the Adventurers Club or something like that. But then I'd also want part of it to be a boat ride. Nothing too extreme or anything like that. I mean, maybe you could have a little bit with Maelstrom or Frozen Ever After, where you have a little bit of a thrill to it, but more where it's a slower moving ride, but you can really take in a lot of the details. You can, similar to how the Jungle Cruise has puns from the skippers, these would be more built into the effects that go on during the ride. And I haven't figured out exactly how it would end.
Well, no, how about
something that really explores the world of Society of Explorers and Adventurers and has different elements to it.
So here's the ride. I just figured it out, right? So you start off on a boat ride. You're doing exploring. I don't know what the theme is, but you're on a boat. You're exploring. You're doing things. You're going after an artifact, or I don't know, whatever you're doing, right? So you're on a boat track. It comes to the end. The boat, part of the boat now discharges from the boat track and goes onto a trackless vehicle. So it kind of changes from track boat to trackless thing. And then you're going from building to building, and it's you giving a symposium on your find to the club, and you're getting an award for being the best adventurer or having the best, I don't know, something like that, where they celebrate your journey, or conversely tear you apart because of it, because maybe it's a little bit funnier if they do it that way. But this is the end of your journey, and you're kind of giving a speech of your findings and stuff like that. And maybe if it's even longer, you can have some shenanigans where, say, you found a diamond and it got stolen, so you have to chase the person around somewhere and get it back, or I don't know. I mean, you could do an endless story, but you end your adventure back at the Adventurers Club, I guess, or whatever, and then you pull out and you end it, and there's the bar at the end of the attraction that's a bar/gift shop, and that's how you end the ride.
That's definitely how we're ending it.
Yes.
For sure. All right, we did it.
So what are some of the other things people were saying?
Yeah, so on our Discord channel, some ideas I came up with, Tibarella said that they would like a Narnia land.
Interesting.
Not a huge fan of the movies, but just kind of like that magical world with animals and things like that. This can almost be similar to Rise of the Resistance type journey type thing, but I think that would be an interesting theme. Definitely the idea of going through the wardrobe into a fantasy land would be interesting. Saints Maniac also mentioned about an Encanto dark ride, and also still upset that they abandoned the Mary Poppins attraction. Music Life from You wants a Lion King dark ride attraction. I know that's one of the ideas that could potentially go into, if they replace Dino Land, could be some sort of Lion King dark ride, or perhaps I'm also hearing Jungle Cruise, or not Jungle Cruise, Jungle Book.
I'm surprised the Lion King property is not more prolific at any of the parks, right? I mean, it's the Broadway show, classic movie, numerous cartoon shows that have been relatively within the last 5 years, like Lion Guard and stuff like that, that got multiple seasons attached to it. So I'm surprised there wasn't any other than the very good show, but that's the only thing you see at Lion King in all the parks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's part of Mickey's PhilharMagic. They had the Circle of Life, but yeah, I mean, nothing. There certainly could be more.
Absolutely.
Gene L says something about how about something else in Pandora, and the idea was something like if you're in one of those big robot suits that they have. So I don't know if that'd be like a VR type thing or something.
Probably, yep.
Anybeth said they want a tangled dark ride. They want something where it simulates being in the boat ride through the dark room full of floating lanterns.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, and I threw out there, there was supposed to be a boat ride in the Germany pavilion. If you actually look, there's the doorways where the entrance to the queue was going to be are actually there in the pavilion. So they could just build that, but then add, because Rapunzel takes place in Germany. So it could be a ride in Germany, but just...
And you can end it at the tavern where they do all the songs and also have a bar/gift shop on another attraction.
There we go.
We're just coming up with great ideas here.
And lastly, Miss Gina 5 said anything involving Hercules is that they wanted to see. And I threw out there, I don't know exactly how it could work, but just the kind of epicness of Hercules in general, I thought it could be a fit for the Shanghai Pirates ride system.
See, I wouldn't waste Hercules, or I wouldn't waste a pirate system on Hercules, because I don't think that property is, I don't want to say it's dead, but it's, it hasn't been expanded over time. Right. So I think that if they're going to do something like that at the World, it would be used for some kind of newer property that made billions of dollars in movies and tickets and stuff like that. Okay, so given the theme of this week's topic of park hoppers, the next Disney engagement for this week is going to be what will make you pull the trigger on buying hoppers for your next Walt Disney World trip. Maybe it's the length of stay is what makes you do it. Like you go for 3 days, you never buy them, but for 6 days you do. Maybe it's the times you haven't been in 3 or 4 years. You're definitely getting hoppers to maximize your time there because it's been a while since you've been back. Do you always get hoppers, or you're asking what hoppers are because you have an annual pass and that's just foreign language to you? I don't know. So what makes you actually go and spend the extra money on hoppers? Or if you're considering it on your next vacation, please share, and maybe I can convince you not to or to buy them, depending on how much I like you and want your mental state to be nice in your next Disney World vacation. That being said, I think we're going to wrap it up here, Phil. I think we had a nice fun-filled adventure back to normalcy. Did I forget anything? Do I need to add anything here?
No, I think we covered everything, and I even earlier had thrown in my potential DVC recommends, so I think we are good to wrap it up.
Awesome. So thank you, everybody, for listening, all the new listeners and all the new members of the Discord server. We appreciate you watching, listening, liking, and subscribing, and all that other nonsense that maybe we should ask people to do more. That being said, have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care, all.
All right, bye.